And we're on in five, four, three, two, one. Welcome to our podcast, Get Real with Gen Z, starring Lauren Kennedy, Chriselle Arias, Brianna Reese, and DeAndrea Hinkle. Today we're going to be talking about racial inequalities with everything that's been happening around the world, our personal experiences, and how it has affected us. So, our first topic is going to be on what happened at a school in Utah. Maria Montessori Academy in North Ogden experienced a public backlash after announcing plans to make participation optional for the Black History Month curriculum. Data from the Utah State Board of Education shows that only 3 of the academy's 322 students are Black, while 70% are white. Now, after the backlash, the school is continuing its Black History Month curriculum after parents asked the school to allow their children to opt out of the program. So, what do you guys think about this?
I think it's really dumb. To be honest, like it's not only prejudice and being very discriminatory of the 3 black people in their whole school, which is ridiculous. I just think the whole thing is just crazy. And then it happened in February, which is during Black History Month. So
Yeah.
go
This
ahead
year?
and take shots.
Did it
Yeah, it
happen this
happened. Yes, ma'am. This year, 2021, and it's like after all the
Black
stuff-
Lives Matter protests.
exactly in the middle of all of this happening.
If I was one of them black people, I'd be embarrassed.
You'd be embarrassed.
I'd be not embarrassed, but I'd be left out, felt out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, why even push, you know, those people out even more after they don't even feel welcome already?
Yeah.
And that's crazy. The whole school, out of the whole school, there's only 3 Black people.
Even the staff.
322.
Yeah,
It's just like them trying to just erase the history even more than it already is.
exactly. And then I want to add, like, this is not even the kids' fault at all. It's definitely the
Yeah.
parents for even pushing this narrative that, you can't learn about other people's culture and other people's history just because they're a person of color.
Yeah, you have to learn about everyone's culture and history, not just because you're not a part of that community. It's
Exactly.
important to know.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
well, I personally think that Black History Month is very important to teach and talk about. It tells stories of strong African Americans who played an important role as well as how they paved the way for many people. They stood up for what they believed in, and I feel that we don't already learn enough about it in school. And by that I mean like we only learn a small portion of it. I remember in my elementary school we would only talk about African Americans in February, just in February, and on MLK Day, and that's all. And so I think about what about the rest of the year?
Yeah, I also pretty much only learned about Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, people like that, and then we learned nothing about anyone else.
Yeah.
That-
It like if we want to learn more, we have to research. And I'm not complaining. Okay, we have to like look at stories and read about them. It's like we don't get the full story behind them. I think I have learned more about Black History Month and other things from social media,
Than
Um,
in school.
especially
For sure.
since every school year during Black History Month, I learn about the same people. There's no different. There's no. I always learn about. It's like repeated. I always learn about Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, and it's those same people.
Yeah, like I feel like the school system takes such a shallow dive into the amazing world of Black history and everything that's happened, with our history. And I feel like you take more time listening and talking about the Holocaust than you do to slavery, you
Yeah.
know? And I just feel like they show other people of color or other cultures a lot more attention than they show Black people.
Yes. It's almost like they only want us to see the worst of the worst.
Absolutely.
They don't want us to see the triumphs.
Exactly.
Like there's is many other African Americans that have done many accomplishments and inspired others. Like I found when I was
Doing your
researching.
research?
Yeah, I these are some examples that I found out about them. I don't know if y'all heard these names, but this is like my first time hearing them. So there's, I hope I'm pronouncing the names right, but if I'm not, I'm sorry. There's Claudette Colvin. She was a 15-year-old girl who was arrested 9 months before Rosa Parks for not giving her bus seat to a white passenger. And I wonder why she isn't big or most known.
I know a little about that situation with Miss Claudette. The media chose not to really portray her as much because she was 15 years old when that happened. She was also pregnant. So they were like, we don't want to do that. And Claudette was also a little bit more darker skinned than Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was on the lighter side. So colorism also played a fact into that as well.
Yeah.
They didn't want to, show a dark-skinned black woman being, standing up for what she believed in. They'd rather have someone who represented or looked closer to white.
It's terrible. That's
insane. So like you can see how far back and how deep this goes. Because that wasn't even, 50 years? Well, it's 50. Not even like 100 years ago. Like.
Yeah, like it's way earlier in history than like the things we learn about the U.S.
Exactly. And I feel like people try so hard to be like, oh, that was back in the day. It's not a big deal. Exactly. Come on.
It was not.
My great grandma remembers all this.
Oh yeah.
Like
the amount of things that you literally just asking your grandparents, sometimes even just like aunts and uncles, they'll know. And they'll tell you all about it. Like as if it was just yesterday.
Exactly.
Because it was not that long ago, and people need to stop pushing it back, saying, oh, but we've changed, because you can always change and get better more and more.
Exactly. And then I just want to do a quick disclaimer. Now, we've tried our best to do as much research as possible on all of these topics. We are still very ignorant to this situation, but, we're trying our best to understand. If we have anything wrong in these videos, we do apologize.
Yes, we do as much research as we can. We try our very best, but obviously we're still learning about it because we're not taught this in school. So we're trying to learn alongside everyone else in the world.
Exactly. Encourage your kids, your parents to go
Friends,
out. Exactly.
Everyone should know this stuff. It shouldn't be us going through this learning process as teenagers. We should have already known this. Yeah, so what do you think about how Utah allowing parents to opt out would affect us here, like in other states?
I mean, I feel like it sets an example for others,
Definitely.
Lead by example. So who's telling the people in North Carolina and our senators that they can't do the same thing or create the same curriculum to opt out people in Black History Month? I know, well, not this year because, of COVID, but in the previous years, I remember in 8th grade literally doing one day and moving straight on to other topics that, they're not minute, but they just didn't play a huge part in history as much as we did.
Yeah, definitely. It could definitely make other schools be like, oh, we can opt out too.
Exactly.
Why would you opt out of learning the past to learn from those mistakes? Because we're told you learn history to learn from your mistakes. So we should be learning everything and not just the best of the best or the worst of the worst. It should be everything.
Amen.
Yeah, I think it's unfair because it can spread around. Because as you said, one school does it, and one parent, other parents are going to start to agree with them, and as well as the schools, and they're going to see that it's okay to make it optional. And then half the country is not going to know the real history, and they're going to be missing like a important puzzle piece or like a important page of a book.
Yeah, because it shouldn't be something that you can opt out of. It should be a part of the curriculum, and it should be a huge portion of it.
Right. And Black kids already attend North Carolina's highest poverty schools. Like nearly 60% of the state's prison inmates are Black, although African Americans make up only 22% of the population.
Yeah.
So this is not just in schools. This is everywhere in all aspects of the world.
Definitely.
Economics, political situations, social situations, even the media. Like the media plays a huge part in broadcasting this for everybody to see.
Yeah, and even the news is very they decide what they put up. So they could decide to say something about Utah, and if they do, either people would be like, oh, I want to do that too, or they'd be like, that's terrible, that should not happen. So putting it out on the news, although it's important, it could affect others in good and bad ways.
Exactly. Like Fox News.
Oh gosh.
Please don't get me started on them. Like, they are so biased and so one-sided, and all of their facts are, they're not even facts, they're just opinions, and them throwing stuff
gosh.
together to try to make a narrative that doesn't exist.
The amount of things I've seen on Instagram about Fox News.
Wild.
Oh gosh. There's a huge thing not too long ago, early 2020, and still to this day, because it's something that should constantly be talked about, is the Black Lives Matter movement.
Of course. I actually went to a protest not too long ago.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it was really, really fun, actually.
That's great.
We stuck it to the man, as I like to say. Yeah, it was like a super empowering experience, though, in all honesty, just to be around, your people.
Yes.
And it wasn't even just, all black people out there. It was
Yeah.
an array of different people out there for the same cause and stuff.
As
And
it should be.
exactly. And it was just so, confusing to me, like how in all these other states, people were getting tear gas, bullets being shot at them, when, a lot of the protests weren't violent. Some of them were, of course, but in all honesty, we have every right to be mad, but...
Oh, yeah, definitely. You have every single right to be angered about what was going on and what continues to happen.
Exactly. But so, in the protests that weren't violent in any way, they were getting all these repercussions thrown at them. But then when the Capitol got stormed...
oh, yeah, no, that's friendly. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
That wasn't a riot.
They were just
no,
homies.
Of course not.
Homies hanging out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
They were just visiting.
Yeah, just visiting.
Just go see some friends.
Yeah, like the
Of course.
senators were literally in there hiding out for their lives, worried for their lives, but...
Yeah, it was terrible.
And they actually killed people. Like,
Oh,
people
yeah.
died. Like, what, 2-3 people?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just wild to me how our policing and, like, our government sees this stuff and downplays it and acts like this isn't a serious problem.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had huge conversations about it and how it was pretty much terrorism because it was government property.
Exactly. And then that president, quote unquote, that man literally, called these people out to do that, which is...
Oh, yes. But Black Lives Matter protests, no, those are riots. They're not protests. When the Capitol, those are protests.
Yeah.
It's insane how differently they're looked at based on the group that is doing it and not based on the violence or the outcomes. Because more people were hurt. They say a lot about how police were hurt, but what about the civilians?
Yeah.
There were way more civilian deaths and
Many.
injuries
Many.
than police. And they believe that the civilians started it, and obviously we won't always know what happened because we weren't there. But more than likely, it just spiraled, and it wasn't necessarily one person that caused it. You never really know what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw a lot about it on the news and social media, saying the amount of deaths that there were, the amount of injuries, and just how rubber bullets, tear gas, so many different things that were not necessary.
Yeah, for real. Like, I just don't understand. And then going to, like, police brutality,
Oh, yes.
I just don't understand why officers are shooting to kill instead of, like, shooting to disarm the situation.
Yes. It should
Like-
not be the first priority to kill.
Exactly. Like, most recently, the little girl with the knife
Yes.
who got killed. I'm trying to figure out why you were shooting to kill.
Oh, yeah.
Why not shoot
She was
her
a young
hand?
girl.
Shoot her leg. Shoot something to, like, stop the situation. Make them put the gun down. Or even shoot in the air. If you shot in the air...
Everyone would be scared.
Exactly. They would run off.
Do you see what happens at malls? You shoot in the air, immediately everyone disperses.
Exactly. There was no reason at all. And, like, I'm so glad about this George Floyd situation because that,
Brought everyone together. Well,
well,
brought everyone together, it tore people apart. It brought communities together that truly believed in the movement
yeah.
and truly wanted to change.
Yeah, but the way is it prosecution? I think it's the prosecution. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. But it was just the way that the prosecution tried to make the case seem
Yes.
like, you know,
Yes.
it's just wild.
So,
And
talking about George Floyd, sorry.
Yes. No, I was gonna continue.
So recently, Derek Chauvin,
Yeah.
you know, what do you guys think about that?
Way too long. Took way too long for that to
way
happen.
too long. Like, they didn't even need to give him that year to go do whatever he needed. He immediately should have been put down. Not put down like a dog, I'm sorry.
No.
Well, is he not? I'm sorry. But he should
like, put in
immediately
jail,
been
yeah.
put in jail. But
and the fact that it was a question of if it was murder, that should not have been a question.
Exactly. 10 minutes on
10
someone's
minutes
neck.
is extreme. It just, personally, just
Mhm.
someone touching my neck, I'd freak out.
It was
I
unnecessary.
Exactly. Girl,
I have a lot of anxiety with my neck, so even just touching and then kneeling was just
Exactly.
terrible. It was not not
wasn't-
humane at all.
It wasn't necessary to do all that.
Exactly.
Unnecessary.
Like, I can't even wear chokers. I'm so
Oh yeah,
guarded
me
about
too.
my neck. I don't play.
Same.
And it's just like, it's ridiculous on how long it took to get justice for that situation. And I hope that was just the tip of the iceberg, and that we can continue to move forward in that direction instead of this situation with the kids in Utah.
Yes, because George Floyd should be part of the history books as we move forward.
Oh yeah, our president? Yeah, Biden, right? He's trying to pass a bill, George Floyd's bill. Something I got to do a little bit more research on it, but it's, trying to help with police reform a little bit.
Oh yes, I heard about that. I don't know too much about it either, but that's from the limited knowledge. I think that it's a good idea.
Yeah. But back to the school curriculum.
Yes.
How do you guys feel about social studies?
Oh,
Well,
I feel like we learn a lot about how America was founded every year. First off, that's not true, how America was founded. But
Yeah.
we don't hear, like Chriselle mentioned, we only hear about Black history
Yeah.
during Black History Month, and that should not be tolerable.
Yeah, for sure. And I know we're going to speak a little bit about this in the other episodes too, but Asian history? What? Like, I never heard anything about this until
me neither.
the situation happened.
Yeah, same with my own history as a Hispanic
Yeah.
female. I never heard anything. I had to learn it from family members.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like school books need to, like, look back and
Broaden their perspective.
exactly. Y'all need to have a group meeting, school boards, and discuss.
with a variety of different people.
Exactly. White people
that
did not
makes
do
sense.
everything.
Yes.
White people did not do everything. I'm sorry.
Most things that they are praised for were not done by them.
Exactly.
Like even like a simple thing that crosses my mind is, I believe it's a light bulb, and a billion other things.
Yeah.
Um,
Traffic lights.
Oh yeah, they were not done by the people that they're being credited for.
Exactly.
Tesla, he did it.
Mhm.
Tesla did a lot of things, and
Mhm.
he is not credited for them,
Yeah.
which is terrible.
It's just it's crazy to me. I don't know. It's just it's a big thing, and they're continuing to teach like little young adolescent minds the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Expected them to,
Expecting us to learn more from the same thing being told us.
Yeah.
We're being told. We get told the exact same things. We're expected to know more, and even like being in the U.S., I feel like we don't learn enough about other countries. We learn about the U.S. a lot.
Right.
We need to
For
learn
their
about everyone.
somewhat accomplishments.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Somewhat. Like, I would love to spend more than 2 class days learning about Europe and what they do over
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Or I don't know.
Well, I
Different
feel like we've
cultures.
learned. I feel like, when I was in elementary and all my social studies, I've heard about a lot about Europe, but I think that's why, like, how Columbus came from over there, or was it like Spain or somewhere? I don't know. Anyways, but
As you can tell, school system not great.
they
Yeah.
come. But I feel like Europe's been always in the book somewhat. you know?
And I feel like that,
It's always been
Yeah.
America and Europe.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that gave us like a lot of perspective.
Yeah, like how many times can you recite on the back of your hand some facts about Africa and the different
Barely.
societies and cultures they have there?
Barely.
Exactly.
That we only learn about Europe, America, and their fights and their triumphs. And it's like, first of all, why?
Yeah.
Why just them?
Yeah.
And it just makes history books often praise America. They often like say, oh, Europe did this, that was bad.
Mhm.
But America, on the other hand, oh, they did this was great.
Right.
But on the other hand, they did really terrible things.
Guess who wrote those books, though?
Americans.
Yeah, white American men, probably.
Wonder why America is praised so much if it's written by American men.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then it's like, let's say, oh, I want to learn more about black culture, African American culture. Oh, well, take African American studies.
That should not just...
You're not going to get no credits from that. You're not going to graduate taking that class. So why do you expect more people to take it and learn more about that culture when you're not even giving them the same, the same, time?
Spotlight?
Yeah, spotlight is the other.
Yeah, that's another thing. The fact that those things are separated.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Black
Wonder
culture
why.
is African American culture.
Yes.
Asian culture is American culture.
All
And
of it.
it's-
All of it. Everyone should learn, not just America. Everyone.
Exactly.
It's insane that those two history classes are separated when it should really just be one big history class, and not just bulking it into a different class.
Right.
Can I say something about it's always they always talk about the natives and how I don't is they made them seem like the bad people, and I really hate America. I'm so sorry.
For real though. For real.
Yeah.
How they just came over here and stole their land. They claim it's it's America's land
It was not
when
America's
it's
land.
not,
Yeah.
How can you discover something that people are already living at?
Exactly.
and just kick them out and make them
Suffer,
No.
lose their homes.
yes.
Their lives.
Native Americans went through so much. Don't even get me started. How many Native American people do you know personally? You can't even count on one hand.
No.
I bet you no one can go up to 4. It's ridiculous how much
You
they
know
were
it's
massacred.
rare to see them.
Yeah, it's rare. It's that to the point where I feel like their race and their culture is almost extinct. But people continue to dress up like them for Halloween, which is wild.
Or sports teams named after them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they paint the picture that the natives did a lot of bad things. I think it really, looking back, it really depends on your history teacher, because some teachers will paint them as such bad people, while others are like, oh, but we stole the land, don't forget that. It goes such back and forth. It's the curriculum doesn't have one way to go. It really depends on personal opinions, which it should not be.
Exactly. They should just let the history speak for itself and stop trying to manipulate and
Deceive.
deceive your students who
Yeah. Change our
obviously
perspectives.
don't know any better.
Yeah.
We're there to teach, not to repeat. Oh, that rhymes. But
Yeah, we definitely don't want to repeat pretty much any of the history that we've been taught.
Well, I think that concludes our podcast for today. And wow, today's topic was really interesting, and I love hearing and seeing y'all's point of view. And I know I can talk to y'all with being honest and without getting judged.
Yeah, it was wonderful. We definitely expanded on those topics a lot. I feel like we all have pretty similar point of views, which I think is great.
yeah, and I feel like at the end of this, we've learned that the school district needs to really work on what they're doing up there and what they're teaching the kids.
Well, not just the school district, everyone in
Yeah, everyone
America.
everywhere. Yeah,
As a
Americans
whole.
Gotta get it together. Gotta get
agree.
it together.
Yeah.
I agree.
There's definitely always room for more conversation, but
Absolutely. Teach your kids. Go out and do research yourself.
definitely.
You're not going to learn everything from a history book.
definitely.
And don't be scared to ask, but if you want
Politely.
yes, nicely and respectfully.
Amen.
Yes.
Yes. Well, concludes our first episode. So check out our next episode, which we're gonna be
Delving into Hispanic history.
yes,
Yeah.
about how Hispanic isn't a race anymore. Identities being taken away, Hispanic versus Latino, and
Many more.
yes.
Many, many more.
Thank you for tuning in tonight with Get Real with Gen Z. Until next time, adios.